Folks, hello and welcome to Tavern Chat. I am your host, often your bartender in the OSR. Tonight, I'm not your bartender because if your bartender gave you a website like this to look at, you would punch him in the fucking face. All right, but this is one of those you got to pull the band-aid off. You gotta show the shit for what the shit is. So I ask for your forgiveness if you are going to be offended. If you do not want to know some of the tweets that Dave Johnson, associated with TSR, he's writing Star Frontiers. I don't know what his official position, probably a freelancer, is. Um, if you feel that covering some of these topics, which includes Islamophobia, transphobia, ableism, far right wing Nazism, racism, bigotry, misogyny. If this stuff's going to offend, I mean, literally, if you're going to be offended, I'm going to suggest that you stop watching.
Yeah, if you trigger really easy.
If you trigger, I
this
understand.
might not be the episode.
But this is something that I feel needs to be shown now. I'm going to put in the show notes and as a pinned comment the link to this site that this is up at. It's also on Dave's Twitter right now. At least it was earlier this evening. You'd think that Dave would be smart enough to remove it, but then again, the internet never forgets, right? No hate in games.wixsite.com. That will take you to what you're looking at on the screen right now.
Wix?
It's a Wix site, Rach.
Oh, God.
Well, no, this isn't put together by Dave.
Oh, it's put together by the other guy.
This is it's put together by somebody who's right.
Expose.
Right. No, Dave did not put together a site to compromise his own ability to work in gaming.
I get it now. Sorry.
So I'm going to just read a few things here. Already, if you're seeing images on the screen that upset you, it's going to upset you. All right. Again.
And I think that what you're going to be talking about isn't probably the worst.
I'm going to skip over some of the worst. Okay. Mm-hmm. There is stuff here that is
like you're just hitting the tip of the iceberg here.
I'm gonna hit the stuff that's gonna hopefully not get this video bounced. How about that? Okay. Everything you see here was posted publicly by Dave Johnson of TSR LLC. Like I said, I think he's a freelancer. Don't know if he's really part of the company, but your mileage may vary, and my knowledge is certainly limited. He is the author of Star Frontiers New Genesis. It isn't out yet, but in theory. And the publisher of Alarms and Journeys magazine. The purpose of this site is to help people understand who is behind the products and philosophy of the game company currently calling themselves TSR LLC. We believe there's no place for hate in gaming. Everyone is entitled to their own beliefs and opinions, but tolerance should not extend to hate. Now, they say as of April 21st, 2022, these tweets were still live. I saw that most of these tweets, or maybe all of them, are still live, and we are May 16th, 2022. So let's not going to go over exact images right now. Are we sure this is really from Dave Johnson, associated with TSR LLC? Here's the proof. His Twitter account is at Dave Films US. He uses the name Dave Films US for all of his social media accounts. Below the side-by-side photos are shots of Dave Film US accounts on Twitter, Facebook, and Pinterest. So, I am sufficiently convinced that this is Dave. And the fact that it goes back to 2017 means it isn't somebody who decided that, hey, Dave is a piece of scum, let me make a Twitter account that will frame him.
That's right, and it's not just one day of posting when he
this
had some horrible experience or, was not well one day.
Right. Now, he's not well apparently a lot of days. Yeah. But in any case, the images below are all tweets posted by Dave Johnson. They run the gamut from racism to hate against gay people, transgender people, Muslims, women, fat people, and others. He posts pro-Nazi memes, white supremacist messages, fears of the great replacement of white people, and even a bizarre attack on dialysis patients. That one, everything else is I really need to wonder what happened in Dave's life. with that.
Oh my God, so much of this.
Yes.
Stuff. So much. Well, you go through it and we can.
We'll tap on it. His ideology of hate makes its way into his game products. It's less overt unless you know the context of his true feelings, which we will look at below. And like I said, I'm going to gloss over what I presume to be some of the worst. You can review that on your own. It is not good. Surfeteer's New Genesis has eugenics, a Nordic master race, slavery, white supremacy, dog whistles, like an obsession with milk, a focus on purity and strength, and an organization that players must join called the Confederacy of Civilized People. All right. So, it's a neo-Nazi section. We're going to skip through that. We're going to skip through the racism and white supremacy, but if you can look at the images as I scroll through it, you can be pretty damn well sure that, yeah, Dave's got issues. Homophobia. I mean, I'm looking at the Daddy Killed a Homosexual at the Highway Rest Area as a children's book.
Wow.
And somehow Dave thinks this is appropriate to share publicly on Twitter. You know what? If you are a piece of scum and this is your personal beliefs, that's certainly one thing.
Well, I mean, that too, and I don't, like you were saying, what happened to this man in his lifetime?
I don't know.
Like,
yeah.
Is it that he's a closeted homosexual, or is it that he suffered some severe sexual abuse?
We don't.
You know what I mean? Like,
we don't know. This is spitballing. These are hypotheses. Okay. Coming in from my view, from 20 years in law enforcement, from Rachel's view, 25 years in social work?
25 years as a social worker, psychotherapist in settings serving addiction and folks with severe psychiatric illness.
So the screenshot on the screen right now, it shows a family of 5, all blonde, all white, a real normal family. Okay. By the way, Dave is not blonde. He's probably gray when he's not dyeing his hair, but he's certainly not blonde. Or how about the popping a boner during this occasion makes you, and then it gives you a list like movies in which the women aren't predominantly naked. Makes you gay if you pop a boner during this. Movies in which the women aren't predominantly naked, but there's a lot of explosions, people getting maimed and or killed. That makes you straight. Bizarre. There's some bizarre shit included in this. And it really
very adolescent.
Adolescent, yes.
What is it?
This would be.
What is a gay person? What is a straight person?
This is something like when I was in my young 20s. Yes. Truly tasteless joke books. They were like, I don't know, 40 volumes of this shit, and they were horrible jokes, and they were truly tasteless, but they were juvenile humor. And when you're in your teens, in your young 20s, when you haven't lived life, juvenile humor is part of it, but this is not juvenile humor. This goes beyond. Oh, so he shares this image of this family, by the way, multiple times. Straight marriage is essential to the survival of the USA. Gay marriage is not. It should be every child's right. A nuclear family, a family group that consists only of father, mother, and children. Okay, so and Dave, he has a picture of two men embraced and kissing, and of course he says this is disgusting. Now we're going to move on to transphobic. Here's I just find this one highly disturbing. When your first daughter wants to be your first son, with the mother holding the children's head underwater, and again, this is stuff that Dave feels. It's if in private Dave saw this and went, "Oh, that's kind of funny. Hey, hon, Dave, you're a piece of shit," right? And then she tells him that he thought or thinks, because he didn't take the stuff down, that this is appropriate to share with the public. That the public is going to look at this and go, "Wow, Dave, you know what? You've really got a great sense of what the world is." Yes. Trans people. Now, these aren't him resharing memes. Trans people are by definition mentally ill and should not be allowed in the military. When the U.S. military starts to allow transgender people in, will be the biggest joke. It will have a terrible cost to our war fighting abilities. Now, I guess Dave is talking from experience. He was a Navy medic, which means you were assigned to the Marines. Maybe he saw stuff in his military service that cracked his mind. I don't know. I don't know. So he has a lot more on this. Two genders, period. Trans people are mentally ill. Then we go on to the misogyny. This one.
I love how this person is saying.
Oh, this picture isn't popping up.
Mentally ill.
If you can see the picture, the caption is "blow in her face and she'll follow you anywhere." And Dave's like, "Yeah." Is right. Then he apparently there was a picture of a group picture, and I guess he had to take the large-breasted woman with the low-cut blouse out. And here is the most important person in this picture. Well, thank you, Dave. We all appreciate you. Now we have the whole section. Again, whoever put this site together did a great job. Because now we have the fat shaming section.
Oh, great.
Okay. Whatever. Islamophobia section.
He covers it all.
Dave covers it all. He's an equal opportunity offender.
Is he an equal opportunity?
He is.
Here?
Yes. And the Islamophobia section is pretty large. Now here, this is where to me is the alt-right and conspiracy section where. All right. So you get the Fast and the Furious with the car. Then was it Charlottesville that went to the crowd, killing people? There's been numerous incidents where similar things have happened. But apparently he made that into the Democrats want car control now. Whatever, too. But this is where, if you could say the wheels were still loosely on the cart before, dialysis should only be available to the able-bodied people who can work.
Dialysis doesn't take 10 minutes.
All right.
You have to sit in that clinic most of the time, usually more than 3 times a week, for 5 hours at a time to clean your blood. Like when I worked with dialysis patients at Elmhurst, yeah, they were in there for a long time. And it's tiring, so you don't go to work right after generally.
But listen, Dave. Now, I'm gonna do a little timeout. Say this is what my understanding is, what I have been informed by other sources. I can neither confirm nor deny, but the belief is that Dave is receiving SSDI. So Dave doesn't likely work. So, and thank God. And
he does his little publishing or whatever he's doing.
Right. It's all in his wife's name, so the government doesn't know he's making an income.
And it's also like, if you consider, I wonder why Dave would be getting disability. You look at these things.
Right.
And it makes me question, as somebody who's worked with, people who have had a lot of mania.
Right.
Like bipolar folks, like, when people get manic, they get, they can experience like, very grandiose feeling, about themselves, and that they sort of have the power to be able to say, oh yes, these ones should stay, these ones should, go to the gas chamber or whatever they think they need.
We're not done with that part yet, Rach.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
There's more. But
wait. For example, dialysis for people who don't or cannot work. The cost of treatment and meds is paid for by Democrats. The Democrats want. And then he has a proposal to defund dialysis clinics nationwide and to open up state-supported dialysis clinics for able-bodied patients. But by definition, if you are receiving dialysis, you likely aren't able-bodied.
That sounds like the grandiosity that comes out when someone's manic. And I would question, I'd be very curious to see like if there's a pattern to some of these posts. How often is he experiencing this type of mania?
Well, this is
this person.
This is all back in 2017.
Oh, it's all from them.
I believe so.
Oh.
The problem with chronic illness is scarce resources. Too many expensive people on taxpayer-funded medical treatments. They don't contribute. Now, I'm going to make a statement here that I am assuming that Dave did 20 or 25 years in the military.
Maybe, we don't know.
Or he left on a medical disability, which is, reading some of this shit is possible, which would mean that Dave would get medical attention at a VA hospital or facility, which means that Dave is getting his treatments, whatever his medical issues are,
paid for by the taxpayers.
So that is likely.
Yeah.
That's the conclusion that I am drawing.
As well, he should,
right.
You know, but you can't. I don't understand how you arrived at this.
Well, here,
other than being completely divorced from reality and psychotic.
Depopulation by euthanasia. Also, their ACA will turn into universal health care, furthering the depopulation agenda. All right, so then he goes on to Antifa stuff. Antifa with a rainbow dildo. I don't get it.
I thought he was wanting to be an Antifa.
Although those are videos. Those are videos that he did. Well, I'll end it with one of those.
He thought he was going undercover.
He was going undercover.
Oh.
All right, so he's got
poor bastard. Oh my god.
Now
this is really bad.
We got stuff that is alt-right. We got stuff here that is fascist. We got stuff here that is Antifa. I mean, it literally goes on. By the way, this blue one on the side here. If you see that blue, this is me. He claims that he was punched by an Antifa back in August of 2017. Antifa sucker punched me. I don't know if it's Dave, but maybe it is. And if it is, I'm sorry.
One of those punch-a-Nazi people.
I guess he was.
I guess they got the right target.
Yeah, you know. So, but one of my favorite quotes here: "Tattoos are for deviants." Okay, that's that blue one. And in fact, I gotta find the other. Oh, people with tattoos are tribal in nature. Is this why he likes Justin so much? Is he saying that he identifies with that? Because
that's my tribe, man.
Yeah, that's the tattoo master, right? I'm going to write a book called "The Rise of Antifa and the Culture of Hate from the Left." It's another one of these projects that Dave has not done. All right, so now here I'm going to give you an audio. We shall play a video of Dave pretending to be Antifa.
Murfreesboro Antifa.
Murfreesboro Antifa. This happens to be where Dave resides.
He's coming for you.
When he's not residing on the International Space Station or in South Korea or any of the other fictitious places he puts down. I don't know. He's not a New York resident, right? So I don't think Bellevue's on the list.
And
by the way, his videos are always professional. If you think my videos are unprofessional, done in one take, at least you don't hear me talking about my father-in-law taking a shit and blowing out the bathroom when not realizing that I've been streaming live for 9 minutes and leave it up for years.
I was the only one that showed up.
He's the only one that showed up. Now, by the way, you do have to I got to give him credit for the effort he put into his costume. That looks like, oh God, like a hair towel. Probably his wife's hair towel, white with pink flowers on it.
Oh, nice! It's
wrapped around his face too. So it's got a mask, but he kept with the glasses because you gotta keep with the glasses.
In
he's
Murfreesboro,
wearing a turby twist.
Yeah, turby twist. Yes.
Tennessee. I was the resistance.
Dave,
I absolutely believe him in a turby twist.
There you go. It's appropriate, right? Folks, you gotta forgive me.
And afterwards, I went to Starbucks, and there was nobody there, but there was good coffee.
There was nobody at Starbucks, but there was good coffee.
Because you know that's a very hot Antifa hotbed.
Yes. Well, usually they break the windows, right? But instead, Dave just went there for coffee in his headdress.
Resist.
So here, Dave just told you what you need to do. You need to resist. And what do you need to resist? Well, obviously, you need to resist giving any money of any sorts to Dave. Maybe Dave should stop resisting. Maybe Dave. I might be reaching here, but Dave, you may need help. Now, help that the community can't give you. All right, it needs to go a little bit further than that. But
there's doctors that
you're likely entitled to subsidized or free health care due to your service.
And they have some of the best
yeah
addiction and mental health care around.
So, I mean, listen, what's the worst that can happen, Dave? You go and they tell you that you're perfectly sane. Anything can happen, right? In which case, it validates everything that you've put up here. But if it doesn't validate everything that you've put up on that's been shown on this site, that's in your Twitter feed, maybe it'll be a wake up. In any case, folks, I apologize. I had to end with that video. It was a palate cleanser. Okay, after everything else, I needed it. I suspect that you needed it. I do apologize. Hey, again, it's like pulling off a Band-Aid. Especially if you're a hairy asshole like me, it can be painful. You just got to rip it. So, folks, I'm going to leave you without my normal stuff, my saying, because I don't feel like it today after going through that. All right. I will ask you to be well. All right. And I do mean that. And I will be back tomorrow with something that hopefully is not as distasteful in my mouth and in yours. All right. God bless.